Welcome to today's story time. I'm Lee Hood with Northeast Regional Library. Today I'm sharing Alice in Wonderland, the story by Lewis Carroll, illustrated by Amanda Gulliver, with permission of Paragon Publishers. Alice was sitting with her sister on the grass by a river bank when a white rabbit ran past. "Oh dear, I shall be too late," said the rabbit. Alice followed the rabbit and found herself falling down a rabbit hole. Down, down, down. I must be getting near the center of the earth, thought Alice. Down, down, down. Alice was starting to fall asleep when thump! She landed in a heap and the fall was over. Alice found herself in a hall lined with doors. Next to one of the doors was a glass table with a key on it. Alice tried the key in all of the doors, but it wouldn't open any of them. Then Alice found a tiny door hidden behind a curtain. The key opened the door, but she couldn't fit through. Alice went back to the table and found a little bottle labeled "Drink Me." When she drank it, she started to shrink. She was now small enough to fit through the door, but the key was on the table and she couldn't reach it. Then she spotted a small cake with "Eat Me" written on it in currants. "Curiouser and curiouser," she said. When she ate the cake, she grew so big her head hit the roof. Alice cried until there was a pool of tears all around her. Then the white rabbit ran past with a pair of gloves and a fan. The rabbit dropped them when it saw Alice. She picked them up and fanned herself. The fan made her shrink. Alice landed in the pool of tears. Splash! "I wish I hadn't cried so much," said Alice. There were a duck and a dodo, a lory and an eaglet, a mouse, and several other curious creatures swimming in the water. Together they all swam to the shore. "I think that a caucus race would get us dry," said the dodo. "What's a caucus race?" asked Alice. "The best way to explain it is to do it," said the dodo. It marked out a race course in a circle. They started running when they liked and stopped when they liked. When they were quite dry, the race was over. Everyone crowded around asking who had won. "Everybody has won, and all must have prizes," said the dodo. Alice found some sweets in her pocket and handed them around as prizes. Then she tried to tell them a story, but all the little animals ran away. Poor Alice was all alone again. Alice walked on and came to a caterpillar sitting on top of a large mushroom. "Who are you?" it asked. "I don't know," said Alice. "I've been changed several times." "Explain yourself," said the caterpillar. "I can't," said Alice. "I don't stay the same size for 10 minutes." The caterpillar crawled away from the mushroom. "The left side will make you grow taller, and the right side will make you grow shorter," it said. "Of what?" Alice asked. "Of the mushroom," said the caterpillar. Alice nibbled at the mushroom pieces, and sure enough, the caterpillar was right. Alice walked further and came to a tiny house. She used the right-hand piece to grow smaller, and she went inside. Inside, a duchess was singing to a baby. The cook was stirring some soup. "Why is your cat grinning?" asked Alice. "It's a Cheshire cat," snapped the duchess, and she gave the baby to Alice. "I'm going to play croquet with the queen," said the duchess. Alice took the baby and walked outside. The baby grunted. It had changed into a pig. Alice put the pig down and it trotted away happily. She saw the Cheshire cat sitting in a tree. "Who lives here?" Alice asked. "A hatter and a March hare," the cat said. "They're both mad." "I don't want to be with mad people," Alice remarked. "We're all mad here," said the cat. Then it vanished. Alice found the March hare sitting at a long table with the hatter and a sleepy dormouse. "Why is a raven like a writing desk?" asked the hare. "I have no idea," said the hatter. "I want a clean cup." They all moved on one place. Alice took the place of the March hare. "Once there were 3 little sisters," yawned the dormouse. "They lived in a well and ate molasses." "I don't think," began Alice. "Then you shouldn't talk," said the hatter. "How rude! This is the stupidest party I was ever at," cried Alice. At last Alice found a beautiful park. The King and Queen of Hearts came toward her with soldiers, courtiers, and the White Rabbit. "Can you play croquet?" roared the Queen. "Yes," Alice cried. It was all very strange. The balls were hedgehogs, the mallets were flamingos, and the soldiers doubled over to make arches. Soon the Queen was in a temper, shouting, "Off with his head!" or "Off with her head!" Then Alice saw the Cheshire Cat. How are you getting on? It asked. They don't play fairly, Alice began. Then the queen saw the cat. Off with its head! But before the executioner could do anything, the cat had disappeared. The queen sent Alice to meet the griffin and the melancholy mock turtle. Once I was a real turtle, he said sadly. I went to school in the ocean. The mock turtle and the griffin showed Alice how to dance the lobster quadrille. Then the mock turtle sang a song. Beautiful soup, so rich and green, waiting in a hot tureen. Who for such dainties would not stoop? Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Beautiful soup, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful, beautiful soup. Suddenly someone shouted, "The trial's beginning!" "Come on!" cried the griffin. The King and Queen of Hearts were on their thrones in court, and the knave was under arrest. The White Rabbit read the accusation. The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts, all on a summer day. The Knave of Hearts, he stole those tarts, and took them quite away. Just then Alice had a very strange feeling. She was starting to grow larger again. "Call the first witness," said the King. The Hatter stood up. "I'm a poor man," he trembled, "and I hadn't begun my tea." "Next witness!" cried the King. The next witness was the cook. "Give your evidence," said the King. "Shan't," said the cook. "Next witness!" the King cried. The White Rabbit read out the name Alice. "What do you know about this?" the King asked Alice. "Nothing," said Alice. "That's very important," the King told the jury. "Unimportant, your Majesty means," said the White Rabbit. The King scribbled in his notebook and read out, "Rule 42. All persons more than a mile high to leave the court." Everybody looked at Alice. "You just made that rule up," said Alice. "It's the oldest rule in the book," said the King. "Then it ought to be number 1, said Alice. "Consider your verdict," the King said to the jury. "Sentence first, verdict afterwards," said the Queen. "Stuff and nonsense," said Alice loudly. "Off with her head!" the Queen shouted. "But you're nothing but a pack of cards!" cried Alice. The whole pack rose up into the air and came flying at her. Alice tried to beat off the cards and found herself lying on the bank with her head in her sister's lap. Some leaves had landed on her face. "Wake up, Alice," said her sister. "What a long sleep you've had." "I've had such a curious dream," said Alice. And as the sun set, Alice told her sister about her curious, marvelous adventures in Wonderland. Thank you for joining me for story time. Please check back for a new adventure.